Hey everybody, okay, so I want to talk through my song Let Loose, which is not released under Josh Leake. It's released under the name that I do pop music under, which is Evening Traveler. And this song actually I released in partnership with, kind of created and released it under Artlist's label. So they have a label called Artlist Original. Artlist is a music licensing company. Artlist.io is their site. And so I made this kind of under their Artlist Original label. And so if you're interested in licensing the song or any other songs, or really any of my music, I do it all through Artlist. So you should check them out because Artlist is great. So let me just talk through each section of this song, kind of from beginning to end of how I created it and how I got it to sound the way it sounded. So what I started with when I was making this was, let's see, this intro blip thing, which now I'm having trouble finding because there's too many tracks. Okay, great. So I won't necessarily show you all of the specific patches. Also short hair, look at that. It's been a long time. I've been long hair, Josh, for a long time. These blips at the beginning are a lot of different things going on at once. So that's just like in any synth doing like a saw wave and like bringing down the filter. And then there's some delay on that. So again, just to really quickly show what this would be of like, if you wanted to make something like this, you could skip ahead if you're like, I don't care, but it's super simple. So what I would do is get this saw wave, and then I would want the filter, which cuts off the high end, to come down. And then this envelope, the ASDR envelope, controls the filter, not the actual sound itself. So there it is. I brought the sustain down so it like kind of decays the filter and collapses it. And then I would throw some echo on here like this, which I think it was probably, or maybe it was just a, whatever it was. Anyway, besides the point. So there's that. I'm going to delete that. And then these two are sort of similar in that like they were like arpeggiated patches from this this plugin called Signal by Output, which has like a lot of different kind of like arpeggiated style things. And then what I did is I played the patch just like on this E flat note here, and then I bounced it in place so it was an audio file, so it wasn't just MIDI. And then to make it choppy, I deleted every other, is that 16th notes? Whatever, I can't do what I'm doing. But basically, I'm in order to make it choppy, I like would just cut it in the middle here so that it's really choppy. I did it with both. This was like some sort of synth thing. I think this was like sort of a piano arpeggiated kind of thing. Yeah. And then this was my voice. Same principle of like, I took a phrase that I sang and I cut it up and just took like right there, and I pitched it up a ton so it doesn't really sound like me and compressed it. And then you can't see here because it's all one track, but what this originally was two different tracks, vocal over here, panned this way, vocal here, so it's bouncing back and forth. Because if you listen with headphones, then you'll hear it kind of going back and forth, or just anything that plays stereo. So just pitched up vocals, changing the formant on some of those, and then like heavily processed compression and stuff like that. And then the last one here, this is again just something from that thing Signal, which is just like a pad that kind of ducks. So that's what this intro is. And then I just have this sweep that comes in that's from Splice. Or maybe is that from Splice? Yeah, it is. And really quick, this is not probably not maybe it's close to the final mix, but the wonderful people over at Artlist, they mastered it, so it's not going to sound mastered. What else we got here? Yeah, another signal pad that comes in once the verse vocals start, which I don't have unmuted. Here it is.
both know those moments when all your worries hit again.
The drums are just splice drums, I think. Yeah. This is like the Oliver Power Tools, one of their snares. That's another, a lot of these like drum things are spliced. I thought I did this one, but I don't think I did this one. That little, yeah, I didn't do that. The kick, what I do throughout the whole song is, in order to make it bigger, because the kick really slimming on this song was important, so I always have two different kicks. I have one that is the high end rolled off. The low end rolled off. And then, so that it's like, just like the top end of a kick. And then I have one that is just like low. I guess specifically here, like this has some high end. If we jump ahead to the chorus, you can really hear it. So this is just, I don't know if you can see the processing. Yeah, I did like a high pass filter, rolled it off to 100. So it's just like the top end of the top end, but in relation to like what a kick is. I was saying that because 100 hertz this isn't top end here, but like for a kick, which has a lot of frequencies, sub 100, it is. So, and then I have one that's just sub, and I rolled off right about to 100. So that way you get a really clean kick of like, you know exactly what the sub is going to be, you know exactly what the top end. And that way you can really kind of balance the different ends of it well. What else? I probably will just jump around here because I don't know that there's a whole lot of other important stuff in the verse. Yeah, for this I got like I think I recorded a bunch of individual samples of stuff. Yeah, I did. I now remember doing it. With my phone, I just went around and like recorded random bumps and tings and flicking things, and then panned that all over the place, and then bounced it into one track here so that it's... I don't know why there's no snare going in there, but somehow it got deleted.
Let's dance for hours, letting time pass like the wind.
I'm not sure how much it is worth talking about my vocal processing, but I'll do it anyway. I have just like a solid dynamics compressor, which is from Native Instruments. This pitch correction probably really isn't doing anything because I do almost all my pitch correction through flex pitch, which is I do that, and then you can kind of really control notes and the depth of vibrato. I have this passive EQ, which is basically cutting around 390 because my voice is very heavy in that range, like the lower mid, and then boosting the highs to make it, because I have a very dark voice. So I really want to make sure it's clear. I have this thing called OTT free plugin that I use. If you've seen anything else I do, you know that I use this way too much. Just a little bit on there, multiband compression. I have this channel EQ to roll off all the low end, and then yeah, the Fab Filter gate and de-esser, which I don't need to explain those. Let's talk about this part coming out. That snare's really quiet. I don't know why, whatever. So this, I have a riser building up to this, and it ends right when the clap hits. Actually, let me just do this. I'll solo all these. Yeah, so one of them, these are all splice effects. That's like a tape stop. There's this low impact. And then this clap. So it all comes together to be, I can solo that. Cool. And then now we're into the big part of the song. This is the part that I wanted to explode and just be huge out of nowhere. So really the kick didn't have like much sub in it intentionally until this point, so that like I was like, the kick has to be maybe even the loudest thing, probably the loudest thing, to like really get that dance clubby feel. I have a white noise thing. I really like white noise transitions that last a super long time, especially in a big chorus like this, as the cymbal. I have a crash too. but that way it kind of feels like it's not just one and done. I don't really like that feeling of like crash and then it just disappears, because I want it to feel like the impact, when you get to a big part like that, the impact of that crash should be so big that it lasts for a very, very long time. I probably should be, I just realized I'm going to do this because the audio is coming from my speakers to here, because I'm an amateur. All right. I got these claps from Splice. Kind of this like funky snare too. Yeah, like this one, a lot of times I'll do more of my own drum stuff. This one I was just like, I know exactly what I want, and there's no sense in just like making it on my own if all of this stuff already sounds great. So I'll just solo all of these. Yeah, so my goal was like, I want those claps to be, like, first of all, the kick has to be super forward. Like the low end of it, but also the snappiness. I want those claps to kind of last. And I want I don't think I really want much in like the mids of like the snare, except for that funky snare to kind of get that initial hit. That's kind of what I was thinking of, like quick snare to get the low mid, but then the claps can kind of last longer, make it bigger. But for me, I always say low mids. I don't even know what that refers to. My 300 to 600 range, 700 range in the frequency spectrum, I always tend to muddy up with body instruments like piano and things and synths and stuff like that. And then also your snares and whatever can kind of fall in there. Maybe it's 200. I don't know. Whatever. You get the idea. Then I'll talk about the instruments. I'll get to vocals in a sec. I got 2 different guitars. Just kind of classic, high E-flat octaves. Clean. And this is just using Guitar Rig 6, which I exported so you can't see, but it's just like a clean preset in Guitar Rig 6 by Native Instruments. And then there's this one, which is like I don't remember what this one is called. It's like Auto Wah or Desert Funk or something like that preset, but Native Instrument, just direct into my interface. And I knew that I wanted that to be like the line, which I think I wrote on synth first, right here. And again, this is just a saw wave. So no, maybe this is obvious and maybe not worth demonstrating, but I'm going to do it anyway. What I did was just literally one saw wave. And then I made the attack fast and then release fast. Maybe not quite that choppy when you release. Yeah, and then... yeah, that's what that is. Probably with... I probably slapped some OTT on to make it. That's way too thin, way too much. But you get the idea of compress it. Whatever. There's that. Yeah, I was thinking I wanted it to have sort of this funky feel, even though in the end result, I don't think it really sounds funky at all. But this kind of synth is the kind of thing you would hear maybe doubling something in something that was more funky. We already talked about those. This is not a real bass because I don't track real bass maybe as much as I should. This is the Rickenbach or whatever bass by Native Instruments. I use this a lot. I just knew that I wouldn't be able to get tone this clean and play this well, and I think this sounds great. Yeah. So there's that bass. There's another bass happening, and I have to find it because I don't organize anything ever. There's a bass somewhere. Here it is. Okay, so I have a sub bass, and if you don't have, if you're not listening through something that can kind of project this low, you probably won't hear this. So I think the idea was, now I have to go up and grab this. I have to go all the way to the top and all the way down to the bottom. The idea was to have sort of the same thing as what I did with the kick. For me, the lows and the just above the very lows into a little bit of the mids can be very hard to control, especially getting your bass to your kick and your bass and all of that to slap and to hit hard. And so what I found is kind of separating it into different things. And I've seen other people do this too. of separating into different areas. So you got your sub bass, which is just like, oh, look at that. There's supposed to be a saturation plugin that would add some top end to it, but I don't have it. I forgot to install on my new computer. So there's that. And this is the infamous growling one, which now I didn't export this one into an audio file, so I can show you what this is. And if it ever loads, maybe I will. There's a lot happening here. I did not remember this. So this is a gritty skin bass, and I removed, just like I did with the kick, removed the low so that the subs can take care of that, because if you just have a bass and you have it like, it has the subs in it, and then you also add a sub, like, it's just hard to, everything should have its place. And then I removed some of the top end because it was like a little too bright. Yeah, because I knew I wanted the bass to feel synthy. And so it does feel really synthy because like that's the main thing you hear. But then there's this actual bass happening. I don't know what this plugin is. It was something just like a really basic like slap bass, I'm sure. But really, I think the only thing that's happening in the low end is this sub bass, which doesn't have the saturation, so you can't hear exactly what it's supposed to be. Yeah. So that's, I think, one of the biggest takeaways for me for this one was like getting that kick of the like highs and mids of the kick of the one with the sub kick, and then same thing with the bass of like doubling it a couple times, but making sure that stays away from the sub, and I have a dedicated sub one so I can kind of balance that all out. And then the last thing to talk about is vocals, I guess, here. So I have two different vocals happening here.
Show your problems out the door and let.
So I have one that is probably tuned. I tune everything a lot, but like one is tuned probably heavier, and then maybe also compressed a lot more. And then I just took the vocal take twice.
And let loose. Show your problems out the door and let loose. Ain't no worries on the dance floor. So just let the weight off your shoulders and show them what you're made of.
And this, the first one here that's quieter isn't quite as bright and isn't like processed the same way. It's just sort of more like flat to add more. I think I don't know if that's how parallel compression works. I think I tried to do that, but I like how it turned out. It ended up sounding way more fuller in my opinion. And then I have all these BGVs happening. So you can see I panned them all over the place.
Ain't no worries on the dance floor. Just let the weight off your shoulders and show them what you're made of. Right here, right now, ain't no worries when you let loose.
And you can see I have like bus 20, bus 14. I'm going to go over here and see what some of these are because I don't even remember what I did my buses as. I'll just solo some of these. So nothing. Yeah, so I guess I would put all of my, once I like had processed all of the basses separately, I'd put them all together so that I could like do some final overall compression on the bass. Which there's a little bit of drum verb, some verb on the clap and snare. Yeah, put all the vocals together, all the backup vocals, put some of that OTT multiband. I guess the guitars just aren't going to a bus because I don't know what I'm doing. Wait, what? Bus 11. Why aren't they going to bus 11? I don't want to spend more time trying to figure out where they are. Oh, that's not bus 11. You know why it is? I think I know why. It's over here. So once I put my two lead vocals together, I put them in this bus, and yeah, I guess I just ended up dipping some of the, these spots because they were popping out, and then cutting off more of the low end of my vocals, and then did like a multi-band compressor there. Did I know what I was doing? Who's to say? I don't know if that's random. A lot of times it's not. Like a lot of times do know what I'm doing, but sometimes I look at that and I'm like, what was I doing? What was I doing? Okay, yeah, here's the... Oh yeah, my lead vocal effects. Valhalla reverb. Just a little bit there. So like the vocals, I try to, this is something I've gotten a lot better at, and I feel like it has made me better, is not just processing everything like on its own. And as I say that, there's about 1 billion plugins, but like vocal channels I do on their own, but like, you know, if there's, I'm trying to use generally like the same couple, 1 or 2 verbs across the board for things. There's the backup vocal verb, which is the same. This is all the synths. These two are. Oh, I guess this is kind of everything, isn't it? Wow. Don't you wish this was more organized? I just can't function that way. I think, oh, you know why I did this? At one point I was going to have a duck. But then I just ended up not liking that. Yeah, I can talk about the synth blast. This is Massive X, the synth, from Native Instruments, and I just found like a fluty synth. So this was actually probably the first thing I did, was like this chorus. I did not do the like verses or anything. And then I did that, and then I went back and did everything after. Like I got the biggest part of the song sounding good the way I like it. I think this is also Massive X, just like a pad. And I rolled off. I'm pretty sure this had a lot more like low mids in it. And I just only let it be like top and air. I think I took it up super high, even maybe to like 1K, even higher. I don't know. Just because there was already so much happening there that I didn't want to add another thing into that range. I guess it's not doubled. I thought that lead line was doubled. Same thing there. This is an Omnisphere synth that has that. I don't want to short anything. Like I don't want to, if there is something else that I should talk about, I don't want to miss it. But I don't think there is. I mean, there's these vocals. Oh, here we go. This is a lot of different things. Yep. I think that's it. What I'll say is 2 things. One, if you wouldn't mind just leaving a like on this video, that's very helpful for me. And then second, again, if you haven't checked out Artlist, I did this with them under their Artlist original label. So if you want to license the song or really any of my other music, I do it all there. And I would just love to hear from you. Is there anything else you would want to see, or that you would have questions about, or anything at all? I'd just love to interact with you in the comments a little bit. So thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.